Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to the SCIO press conference. Today we have invited Mr. Gongsheng, Governor of the PBOC, Mr. Yunze, Minister of the National Financial Regulatory Administration, and Mr. Wu Qing, Chairman of the China Securities Regulatory Commission, to share with us the topic of financial support for high-quality economic development. They will also take your questions. First of all, I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Pan. Thank you. Friends of the media, good morning. It's a great pleasure of mine to meet you once again. I'd like to thank you for your long-term support about the financial reform and all the works realized by PBOC. Since this year, PBOC has stuck to the principle of financial service for high-quality economic development. We have also stuck to the correct direction of the monetary and budgetary policies. We have also made some readjustment to the monetary policies. We have lowered the RRR, and also we have guided the lowering level of the LPR to create a better financial environment. For the monetary structure, we have focused on the key parts to support the scientific innovation in this country as well as the renovation of the equipment. We have also lowered the mortgage rate and also the reloans for the guaranteeing houses. We have also helped the destocking of the real estate sector. We have also reformed the calculating methods for the loans. Today, we are doing the calculation according to the revenue. And we have also made better use of the capital in reserve. For the exchange rate, we believe that the market should continue to play a decisive role in deciding the exchange rate. And we have made sure a stable and rational exchange rate for RMB. Monetary policies are delivering its results. RMB loans increased by 8.5%, which is 4 percentage points higher than the increase rates of the private economic sector. And the cost for financing services has also remained at the lowest level in history. According to instructions of the Central Committee of the CPC, we will continue to apply a supportive monetary policy and also to strengthen the monetary regulation so that our monetary policies could be better targeted to serve the high-quality economic development in our country and also create a better monetary and financial environment. Taking this opportunity, I'd like to declare the following measures. First of all, we will lower the RRR and the LPR and also bring down the market rate. Second, we will bring down the interest rate for the loans, for the real estate in stock. And we will also support the stable development of the exchange market. First of all, to bring down the policy rate and the RRR. First of all, recently we're about to bring down by 0.5 percentage points the RRR, and we will offer 1 trillion RMB as the fluidity in the market. We will consider the circulation of the capital in the market, and we can consider to further reduce the RRR by 0.25 or 0.5 percentage points. First of all, in the first phase, we will reduce the RRR by 0.5 percentage points, and we will consider the situation and the evolution of the case to see if it is necessary to add up another decrease between 0.25 and 0.5 percentage points before the end of this year. And we will guide the LPR and deposit interest rate to go down so that we can have a stable market. Secondly, for the real estate in stock, we will bring down the interest rate in the loans. We will guide the loan rate for the real estate in stock to approach the latest rate published. For the first house and second house bought, we will have the readjustment of the interest rate for the loans. There will be a reduction of 15%. In May, PBOC has created the loans for the guaranteeing houses of 300 billion RMB. And PBOC will give a stronger support so that the market could give more stimulus to the transactions of the houses. For the operative managing units of the houses, we have published a document, and the deadline would be postponed till the end of 2026. Initially, the document would be due by the end of this year, and we're about to extend the deadline period for that document until the end of 2026. We will create new financial tools to stabilize the exchange market. For the securities insurance companies, we will give a better mechanism of the swap. For insurance companies, they could have the mortgage of their products, and they can have better access to the capital and also valorization of their capital in the exchange market. Second is the repurchasing of the stocks. We encourage the entities in the market to repurchase the stock shares and also to increase the possession volume of the stocks. For all those measures declared just now, we're about to share with you the policy documents or the announcements in the official site of the PBOC. Later on, with Mr. Li of NFRA and Mr. Wu from CSRC, we will take your questions. Thank you very much, Mr. Pan. Now, I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Li Yunze from NFRA. Thank you. Friends of the media, good morning to all of you. It's a great pleasure for me to meet all of you. First of all, in the name of NFRA, I'd like to thank all the friends that have supported the financial regulatory work since long. Since this year, NFRA has been applying the instructions of the State Council and the CPC Central Committee We have confronted the difficulties and we have fighted against the possible risks. We have also promoted the development. These are the three pillars of our work, and we have also delivered satisfying results. In terms of the fight against risks, we have been focused in the key areas to remove all the possible risks so that we can create a secured and stable environment for the real economy. According to the instructions of the Central Economic Conference, we have helped the SMEs to get out of the risky environment and context, and we have stopped the transmission of the risks in the economic development chain. Today, different entities have elaborated their own plans to eliminate the risks. Now the plan has been applied in different regions and provinces. We will also stay by their side to remove the risk of local government loans and debt. For the large size of financial institutions, we have to guarantee that the risks in their arena would be controllable. And for the smaller financial institutions, we will try to soothe the possible risks through three different steps. Currently, we're stabilizing the environment, and we will do our best to stick to the red line, that is, there is no systematic financial risk in our economic system. With the reform, we will make new breakthroughs and also improve the institutions. Like that, we can make our sector more sustainable. We will guide insurance and banking sector to get back to their original mission and focus the energy on their original tasks. They also have to combine their complementary strengths with new policies and also new regulations about the capital management. We will have a better administration of non-banking sectors. We will optimize the management, and we will tackle the deep-rooted causes that have blocked the long-term development of this sector. We will better the distribution of resources and also the risks with the loss of interest rate differences. We will also apply the accountability system for the major actions against the law. We will punish the persons in question. And we are removing the bottlenecks so that the financial support would be better responding to the needs of a high-quality economic development. We will strengthen the financial support for the startup businesses and also innovation businesses. We will give them more support. At the end of this August, for the manufacturing loans and high-tech loans increased respectively by 15.9% and 13.2%. We will treat all the market entities on an equal basis. Especially, we would like to give more help to the private sectors and also micro and small enterprises. Insurance companies should play a better job in treating the natural catastrophes to help the enterprises to tide over the difficulties. For the first 8 months of this year, insurance companies have in total compensated 1.55 trillion RMB, with a year-on-year increase of more than 20%. For the next stage, we will continue to brief you the latest development and also give an answer to your concerns. Previously, Mr. Pan, the governor of PBOC, has already shared with you the latest developments and also the improvements of the policies. I will give you more details during the Q&A session. We will do our best to create a transparent, predictable, and stable environment with the policies given. We will contribute more effort and offer more financial support for high-quality economic development. Thank you very much for your introduction, Mr. Li. Now I'd like to invite Mr. Wu Qing from CSRC. Friends of the media, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. First of all, I'd like to say thank you for all of you that have paid long-term attention to our work in China Securities Regulatory Commission. In order to apply the instructions of the State Council and the CPC Central Committee, we have collaborated with other state agencies and departments to publish announcements, documents, and also modified the regulations. With the 9 national rules, we have formed a complete system, and a series of measures are on the way for application. We are controlling the risks in the market in order to better serve the high-quality economic development. First of all, the ecosystem in the market has been improved. The SCIO has also published the work opinions co-elaborated by 5 government departments, including the CSRC. We have discovered and punished the criminals behind the key cases. For example, the real estate companies as well as the other consulting agencies. And also for the listing in the stock market, we have also regulated the access. For the listed companies, the bonuses shared has reached a record high, which is 2.5 trillion RMB. For the procedure transactions regulation, we have made it more strict. And we have also reformed the fees rate for the publicly collected funds. We have overcome many difficulties. For the IPO refinancing is now working at a rational rhythm. We have also improved the regulations about overseas listing of the companies, so that the futures market and the bonds market could run at a very comfortable pace, and we have also witnessed a very stable development of the bonds market. The reform for the financial market is on the way. We have published the 16 rules for the financial support to the science-related industry, and also the 9 rules at national level to support the enterprises. The M&A should play a bigger role in the market. We have revealed almost 50 cases of M&A for the market to share, and this has been very inspiring to the whole market. Moving forward, the CSRC will continue to apply very strict regulation to stabilize the market. For the investment and the financing, they should go hand in hand so that we can better serve the Chinese modernization. First of all, we have to strengthen the indigenous stability and give more benefits to the investors. At the investors' end, we should also carry out reforms. For example, we should have the mechanism in place to encourage long-term investment. After this conference, we will publish the guidelines for the access to market for long-term investment and capital. We will also complete the toolbox. Second, we will support the high-quality economic development. For the new quality productive forces, we will give more support and apply more tools, activize the market for M&A, Later on, we will also publish the 6 rules to encourage the merger and acquisition. We will also work with the other government agencies for private equities investments, and we will also enhance the management and assistance to the whole stage, the whole process of the private equity financing. We also hope that we can select more representative cases as a reference to the rest of the market. That is all for my introduction part. Thank you very much, Mr. Wu. Now is the Q&A session. Before raising a question, please kindly identify yourself. Thank you. With CMG CCTV, we know that since this year, PBOC has made 3 important modifications of the monetary policies. For example, you will continue to lower the RRR and also LPR. This has attracted attention of everyone. Could you please give us more explanations on that point? Thank you very much for this question. Indeed, for the totality of the monetary market, this is an issue of popularity. In many cases, I've mentioned that PBOC will continue to apply a supportive monetary policy so that the monetary policy can play a more precise, better targeted role in the regulation of the market. We have the combination of different tools to support the stable development of our national economy. When we do the design of our toolkits, we have several important considerations. First of all, we would like to support a stable economic development in China. Second is about the pricing. When we design the tools, is also another important consideration, the price. We have to encourage the price to go up in a moderate way. And third, we have to support the real economy development and also the healthy development of the banking system. Before the 2 sides, we have to strike a balance. And number 4 is about the exchange rate of the RMB, which should be running in a very reasonable range. In the meantime, we have to collaborate with the financial policy. That means the monetary and the financial policies should go hand in hand. We support a proactive financial policy to deliver the results. Previously, in my introduction, I've mentioned some new points, new policies. First of all is the reduction of the RRR. In February, we have lowered the RRR by 0.5 percentage points. This time, we are about to lower another 0.5 percentage points with the RRR. This means we can offer 1 trillion RMB of capital flow in the market. Currently, the weighted RRR is 7%. For the big banks, it's 8.5%. This time, after the reform, it will be dropping from 8.5% to 8%. And for the medium banks, down from 6.5% to 6%. For the rural financial institutions, they've been applying 5%. So this time, they will not be lowering further their RRR. After the application of this new RRR, In average, the bank reserve would be around 6.6%, so we still have some room in comparison with the international level. Very soon, we're about to bring down the deposit reserve by 0.5 percentage points. Before the end of this year, if it is necessary, we're about to give another reduction between 0.25 percentage points to 0.5%. Second is to lower the policy rate currently in the market. In July, the reverse repo has been brought down to 1.7. This time, we're about to move that from 1.7 to 1.5. With this mechanism of market readjustment, the policy rate readjustment would cause the benchmark rate to change in the market. This time, after the reform of the policy rate, the interest rate of midterm loan rates would be cut by 0.3 percentage points. And LPR and also deposit interest rate would be cut by 0.2 or 0.25 percentage points. With this round of reform, there will be a neutral result. It will reduce the interest revenue of the banks, and it will also reduce the payback in advance by the clients. The midterm loan facility and open market operations means that the PBOC gives short and medium-term facilities to the other banks, commercial banks. The predicted interest rate will go down. For the previous rounds of deposit interest rates, we have guided it to go down. With the repricing, the result would come out in a cumulative way. Because for the delivery of the effects of the deposit interest rate, it will be lower than that of the loans. So that's why the results would be delivered to the market players one after another. In this plan of reform, the technical team of the PBOC, after several rounds of measuring, calculation, and analysis, we find that the policy changes would have a neutral effect to the revenues of the banks, and the net interest difference of the banks would be stabilized. Next question, please. With China Securities Journal. During the third plenary session of the CPC National Congress, it is said that we have to invite the long-term capital into the market. We are also encouraging the value-based investment. How can you have a balance between investment and financing? I will take that question. Yes, the long capital is very important, long-term capital investment. requires high level of professionalism and is very stable. It can help us to tackle the short-term fluctuations of the market. It's like a stabilizer of the financial market. So it has a significant role in recent years. The CSRC has encouraged the development of rights-based private equity fund. We have also encouraged the long-term capital to get into the market for the insurance, capital, pension firms, and the private equity firms reached 15 trillion RMB, which has doubled the level of 2019. And the proportion in the Asia market has risen from 17% to 22%. Especially with the Social Security Fund, since its creation, has invested in the domestic market with an average return rate of more than 10%. So the Social Securities Fund has become a leader in the Asia market as a value-based investor. Currently, the securities market is not yet balanced. There are many problems. For the long capital, we have not yet prepared a very attractive environment for them in order to apply the instructions of the CPC Central Committee and also remove the bottlenecks. Recently, with the support of many government authorities, the CSRC has published the guidelines of the access to market for long-term capital investors. And very soon, we're about to publish that document. Previously, Mr. Pan from PBOC has also mentioned affiliated information. Later on, Mr. Lee can also share with you more details. We have many policies and arrangements to accompany the long-term investors go invest in the market. We would like to attract more long-term investment, and we have to prepare a better environment so that these investors could invest for a much longer period of time. For this document of guidelines that is about soon to be released, there are some key points. First of all, it creates the private equity fund for long-term investment, and we will also improve their revenue prospects. We will create better financial products to give more returns to the investors, especially the ordinary investors. We have also published products such as the A50 ETA, which has become very popular in the market. And we will also give the wide range ETF in other board of the stock market, for example, with the science and technology enterprises and the small and medium enterprises. We will give them better services and regulations to serve the development of the new quality productive forces and a high-quality economic development. We will also continue to stabilize the market and lower the fees. Currently, we have completed 2 steps of work, and there will be more measures taken in the future. For example, when we cut down the transaction fees, we are actually giving more benefits, the profits to the investors. Second is the preparation of the environment, and in the regulation, we have to give more tolerance of the policy. For the investors that have a cycle of investment for more than 3 years, we have to stay by their side, and we encourage more and more financial investors to become long-term investors and value-based investors. We also encourage the pension funds to have a very healthy reaction with the stock market. We encourage the Social Securities Fund and also the annuity funds of the enterprises to have healthy actions in the stock market. Number 3, we will use measures to help the listed companies to better their operation management. We will fight against all the illegal actions. For all the long-term investors, we hope that they could stay in this ecosystem for as long as possible. Moving forward, we will work harder to make sure that our policies could all be executed. Thank you. Next question, please. Thank you. With 21st Century Economic Report, for large-sized commercial banks, they have very big role to play in the financial system. So for the regulatory administration, what are the measures for these banks? In June, State Council has published several policy measures to support the investment and startups in order to enlarge the investment scale and range of the large financial institutions. Could you please give us more details? Yes, of course. Thank you very much for this question. For large commercial banks, they are very important element to serve the real economy in our nation, and they are also the stabilizer of the market. Currently, the big commercial banks, they have very stable equities, capitals in stock, and they are also operating in a very stable manner. You know that the assets and capital are essential for the operation of the commercial banks. It's the foundation to serve the real economy, and is also a barrier to protect the banks from the risks. In recent years, the major commercial banks have retained a part of their profit to sustain their own development. And in recent years, the banks are cutting the fees and giving the profits to the clients. So for their net interest income, it has registered a reduction. So they have to create more channels to have more capital internally and externally in order to stabilize the stable development and improve the capacity of the large commercial banks. And in order to assist their support to the real economy, the country has decided to give level 1 core assets to the 6 major commercial banks. Through different stages, we will apply tailored policies for each of the 6 commercial banks. We will also urge the commercial banks to better their capacity of self-management. Under the financial control, they have to deliver better results. Today, among the total financing context, we have to find a way with Chinese characteristics for fintech and also give more financial services to the scientific startups. Recently, the fintech administration has already made some explorations in Shanghai. They have gained quite a lot experience through these trials according to the arrangement of the State Council in order to enlarge the influence of these pilot projects and encourage the startups, we have decided to take the following measures to further this program. First of all, is to enlarge the coverage of the pilot programs to cover more cities. We will work with relevant departments to extend the coverage of this project from Shanghai to 18 cities with high level of scientific startup activities like Beijing. Second is to loosen moderately our restrictions. For the proportion of investment in the balance sheet, it can rise up from 4% to 10%, and the investment by a single private equity fund could be rising from 20% to 30%. Number three is to improve the evaluation. We guide several departments to do the evaluation of the work, for example, the performance of the institutions in mid and long term. Moving forward, we will continue to enlarge the scope of these pilot programs so that more projects could be put into operation. Next question, please.
Good morning. I'm from Reuters. Home prices are falling every month, and the declines in home valuations are in the double digits in many Chinese cities, despite all the measures taken to attract new home buyers and to lighten the mortgage burdens of homeowners. So my question is, have financial authorities reached the limits of monetary policy? Thank you.
请翻译一下。
路透社记者提问：尽管中国政府出台了许多政策，吸引购房者，并减少房主的贷款负担，但中国的房价仍在持续下跌。在部分城市，房价总价出现2位数跌幅。请问，中国金融监管机构是否认为已经到了货币政策出台的节点？谢谢。
Thank you for this question. It's a very good question, and this is a question of common concern in the society. From the financial perspective, we have our own responsibility. From the angle of operation, we have to help the real estate sector to remove all the possible risks and also have a healthy development. In recent years, PBOC has been applying a macro-prudent monetary policy. For many times, we have lowered the interest rate for the loans for housing for individuals. Today, I have also declared new policies. We have created the new loan product policies for the housing for guarantee in order to support a healthy development of the real estate market. PBOC, in collaboration with several other state agencies, we have published many policies. First of all, is to lower the interest rate of the loans for the real estate housing in reserve. And last year, we have first tried this policy. The results have been satisfying. For mortgage rates, we have a threshold, that is the LPR. After the round of reform, we have eliminated the threshold. The interest rate has significantly dropped. And there is a big difference of interest for the loans applied on the new houses and old houses in big cities like Beijing, Shenzhen, Guangzhou, Previously, the added points are very high. After that round of readjustments in those big cities, the newly released mortgage rate, the interest rate difference has become much bigger in comparison with the previously released mortgage. And today, we have decided to change the situation for the loans in stock. We would like to approach to the newly released mortgage loans. For example, some loans, they are released in different regions in different years, for example, in 2018, 2019. So the release volume and situation could be different. And now we have taken all of them in consideration and decided a level in average. By bringing down the interest rate of the loans, we can benefit more than 150 million people in more than 50 million households, and we can reduce their payments in paying back the mortgage loans by 150 billion RMB. So people don't need to hurry in paying back in advance their housing loans. And with the new policies, we can better protect interest and rights of the market players, readjust the order in the market, and also stabilize the real estate sector. In recent days to come, we're about to publish the document, sharing the details about how we can readjust the interest rate, because it's quite complicated. So after the publication of the document, you still have to wait for some time to see the actions of the banks, because they need to make some technical changes. For example, when I declare this news this morning, you should not immediately rush to the banks to witness the new changes, because it will take some time for the applications of these policies. And then for the clients of the market, they can negotiate between them about the rate. In order to respond to people's needs for commercial housing, we will not make the difference between the first house and second house. The down payment should always be 15%. During the reform of the 1st of May, the down payment should be 15% for the first house and 25% for the second house. But after this round of new reform, for both your first and second house purchased, the down payment would always be 15%. We have a very big country, and between regions and cities, real estate industry could be operating in different stages. So local governments can consider to have some moderate readjustment of this policy by considering the minimum level in average for the country. They can continue to have their own version of the down payment rate. And also real estate industry could have a negotiation with the client, because 15%, that is the minimum level. Commercial banks, they should still run an analysis of the risks after the checks of the situation of the clients. Some people, they are richer, so they could afford to pay 30% as a down payment. So that down payment amount should be decided in reality between the two sides, the banks and also the clients. And next one is to prolong the application period of the document. In 2022, we have published 2 documents to stabilize the financial market and to keep a healthy growth of the financial market. Those 2 documents have been very useful. Those have been temporary policies. They are due at the end of this year, 2024. But now, after discussion with relevant government agencies, we have decided to prolong these 2 documents by 2 more years, and they will reach the deadline by the last day of 2026. PBOC has also declared a 300 billion RMB worth of guaranteeing house. We encourage the entities to repurchase the built house for guarantee. This is a very important measure to reduce the stock in the real estate market. In order to stimulate the market, we have prepared in our policy a higher contribution proportion by PBOC. If the commercial bank would give 10 billion RMB, then the PBOC will also give 10 billion RMB. Number 5. The purchasing of the land. We have earmarked funds for the purchasing of the land, and we also encourage qualified enterprises to purchase the houses from real estate companies that are in difficulties, and this new policy is still in the stage of the studies. That is all for my part. Next question, please. Thank you. With the Beijing Youth Journal about the MSE, the micro and small enterprises. Recently, the government has published many documents of policies to support the MSE. But still, there are some bottlenecks and difficulties for some of the micro and small enterprises. Could you please give some suggestions? Thank you very much for this question. The micro and small enterprises, they are related to tens of millions of enterprises, families, and these enterprises have also an important role for the stabilizing of the market. So recently, together with PBOC, we have improved our financial support for these MSEs. At the end of August of this year, the balance of loans to MSE has reached 3 billion RMB, which has quadrupled the level of the past, and we have also created new channels for the growth of the MSEs. More specifically, there are some measures. First of all, we will work with NDRC to create a working mechanism for the coordination of MSEs. We have learned from the experience in dealing with the real estate market. At the district level, county levels, we have set up the working groups. On the one hand, they will get in touch with the enterprises. They will visit and investigate the enterprises so that they can have a better idea of the current status of the enterprises, and they can know what kind of difficulties are in front of the enterprises. On the other hand, the working group should also talk with the banks. We have to regulate and to have the surveillance on these banks. For the qualified enterprises, we have to encourage the banks to give the services to these enterprises. Actually, in less than 1 month, we should complete all the works to give the loans to the MSEs. This is to close the loop and accomplish the task of the last kilometer. The CBRC has published the document number 36 for the qualified MSEs. When their loans are due and they still need more money, they could apply for the prolonging of the loans. So it means that when the current loans reach to the deadline, they don't have to pay back the principal before they can apply for a second round of loans. This is a policy that has become welcomed by the SME, and it has been playing a very constructive role. From 3 aspects, we're about to improve this prolonging policy for loans. First of all, for the coverage of this policy, all the MSEs could be included. When the loans reach to the end, and when the SMEs still require more capitals, and when they cannot immediately pay back the principal, they can apply for the prolonging of the loan. Second, we will not only cover the MSEs but also the medium enterprises for a period of 3 years. For the medium enterprises that have a loan that will come to the due date before the last day of September 2027, they could also apply for the prolonging of the loans. And number 3, for the readjustment according to the risks, for the qualified MSEs that have lower risks, they can continue to enjoy the policy of the prolonging of the loans, and their classification of the risks will not be lowered. This is a very important way to soothe the worries of the personnel at grassroots banking system to issue the loans to other small and micro enterprises. There is zero responsibility system to encourage the banking personnel to accompany the development of MSEs. When it's okay to issue the loans, we should do that. Next question, please.
后面一位记者吧，第4排这位，对，穿粉衣服的这位女记者。
Thank you. With the first finance, at the beginning of this year, we've noticed that you have created this coordination mechanism of real estate in the cities. What are the current achievements and what is the plan for the future? Thank you for your question. Actually, Mr. Pan has already briefed all of you the real estate related financial monetary policy for this year, because the development of real estate industry is closely connected to the healthy development of the national economy and the interests of the people. This year we have noticed significant changes in the purchasing and offering. Some of the projects, they could not deliver the housing products according to the agenda. And against this background, we have created a working mechanism for city housing. So the cities, they are well targeted, and we will run the projects to rule out the risks and also separate the risks from the construction of the houses. The government at local levels should shoulder their responsibility for the qualified projects in construction and already sold. They are put on a white list. and we will have to satisfy their reasonable requirements for financing so that they could deliver the houses as soon as possible. And this is also a way to secure the legitimate rights and interests of the buyers of the houses. Currently, this coordination mechanism has been working very well. Until now, the commercial banks have already approved more than 5,700 projects from the whitelist, with a total amount of 143 million RMB, and more than 4 million houses have been completed in construction and also delivered to the buyers. As the end of August of this year, the housing development loans has marked a positive increase, which has reversed the downward tendency of the previous year. And the leasing loans has also increased by 14%. All these elements have contributed to a healthy development of the real estate market. In the meantime, in order to satisfy the non-flexible and guarantee housing, the PBOC has guided local levels of financial institutions to modify their policies towards this sector, and in the future, NFRA will also work with PBOC to reduce the stocks in the real estate market and also to give this feeling of achieveness for our people. Moving forward, we will continue to apply the instructions of the CPC Central Committee on the Real Estate Market Development and to urge the coordination mechanism of the urban housing to deliver the results for all the loans that should be issued. We have to guarantee that they could be issued in due time. Next question, please. With the Red Star News. Currently, we've been watching closely the M&A of the listed companies. In recent years, we've been running the trials based on the market for the reforms of the M&A. What are the upcoming measures to activate the market of M&A? Thank you very much for your question. M&A is a big topic in the financial market. By facilitating the M&A, we can better allocate the resources and distribute the resources. In the world, we have witnessed transformation of the industries. In China, we're also upgrading the sectors and industries. Against this background, we have to bring into full play the essential role of the enterprise M&A so that the enterprises can work more effectively with a higher quality development. With the new 9 rules at national level, we can better accompany the M&A procedures. Previously, we have carried out large-scale investigations to listen to the opinions of different parties, and we have elaborated the 6 rules about M&A. The opinions of the market reform on the enterprises M&A, and the capital market should play a bigger role in enhancing the M&A. First of all, we have to guide the upgrading of the listed companies M&A to support the new quality productive forces, for example, to enter into sectors of emerging industries. We also encourage trans sector M&A. And there is also the purchasing of non-profitable assets. We also have to strengthen the key skills and capabilities, encourage more elements to move towards the new quality productive forces. Secondly, we encourage the listed companies to regroup the assets. We are the only country in the world to have the complete system of industrial manufacturing with all the departments, categories, and branches. We will not only support the emerging industries, but also the classics, the traditional industries. For the M&A enterprises, we will streamline the approval procedure to give them more support. In the meantime, we are also using the reversed coupling to invite the private equity fund to join the M&A. CSRC, while respecting the rules, will also follow the rules of the markets, rules of the economy, and rules of innovation. For different areas like the competition and the others, we will guarantee the allocation of the resources. We also have to guarantee the reorganization's efficiency. We have different tools. For example, we have the cash. And CSRC will urge the entities to issue convertible loans, bonuses, etc., to make the transactions more flexible and to make sure that the capital could be better used. And we will also streamline the reorganization procedure for qualified enterprises. We will make the procedure much simpler, and we will shorten the waiting period for the enterprises, so this whole process of M&A could be more effective. In the meantime, the intermediary agencies also have a very important role to play. We will collaborate with them so that more professional services will be delivered to the enterprises in need. And the CSRC will also do a better job in the supervision, and we will fight against the legal actions to ensure an orderly M&A process. In the meantime, we also have to protect the legitimate rights and interests of the small and medium-priced enterprises. Next question, please.
Thank you. Market News International. The Federal Reserve cut rates by 50 basis points this month. Does this create room for further easing in China's monetary policy? And how will the People's Bank of China assess the impact of the Fed rate reduction on China's foreign exchange market? Thank you.
美国国际市场新闻社，美联储本月降息50个基点，请问是否对中国货币政策的进一步宽松提供了空间？人民银行如何判断美联储降息对中国外汇市场的影响？谢谢。
Thank you for your question. Recently, major economies in the world have readjusted their monetary policy, and you can also see that the RMB's devaluating pressure has been reduced. In recent days, we noticed the Fed has realized a rate reduction by 50 basic points. Previously, the Fed has been raising up the rates. It's in a rising cycle, but for the first time, for a long period, it has lowered the rate. And England Bank has also reduced the rates. Except for the Japanese central bank, the other economies have entered into the cycle of the rate reduction. Since August, US dollar index has dropped to the level of 101. With the narrowing of the cycle difference, the pressure on the RMB has been reduced. 2 or 3 days ago, the exchange rate of RMB against US dollars is about 7.05. Exchange rate is the comparison relationship between the currencies, and it's under the influence of many elements, for example, economic growth, monetary policy, capital market, geopolitical situation, and sudden accidents. All these elements could have the influence on the exchange rate between the currencies. We have to consider the different major economies in the world and also US presidential election and the other geopolitical issues. So there are still many uncertainties. When we look at the domestic situation in China, we believe that we have a very solid foundation for the RMB exchange rate. We have the opportunity to further consolidate the recovery tendency of the RMB and the national economy. We have a very strong monetary policy that is very supportive to the real economy, and it will stimulate the consumption in the market. And for the current account proportion to the GDP, it's at 1.1 for the first half of this year. For the foreign exchange, the National Administration of Foreign Exchange has been following this very closely, and we have noticed that the transaction behaviors have become more rational. For the first half of this year, import-export enterprises have reached 27% of hedging. 50% of enterprises, when doing foreign trade, they have suffered from little risks of the exchange rate fluctuations. PBOC has declared many times to the market that against the background of two-way fluctuation of the interest rate, we have to be more rational. We have to stand at a neutral point. We don't have to bet on the further direction of the exchange rate. Instead, we have to be more focused on our own business to serve the real economy. PBOC has been very stable and transparent in policy. First of all, we believe that market is the basis to decide the interest rate, the exchange rate. Second, we have to give guidance to ensure we can have unilateral expectation in the exchange market and also have the self-fulfillment. We have to guarantee a stable exchange rate of the RMB inside a reasonable ranging.
I will say that the reason why the Chinese government bond has declined is because of expectations that the economy will slow further and that monetary policy will ease. What is the People's Bank of China view on this, and what measures do you plan to take?
CNBC 记者提问： 分析师认为，中国国债利率下行，其中一个原因是市场对经济增长放缓以及货币政策宽松的预期。请问央行作何反应？会采取哪些相应措施？谢谢。
And the situation has been calmed down a little. Previously, there has been more discussion about this topic a month ago, and PBOC has also communicated with the market for several times. For the national bond yield, there is a downward tendency. We have some elements of explanations. And in the past, there was the slow offering of the national bond by the government. Over the past month, it has been accelerated. And for small and medium-sized market institutions, they have not enough awareness of the risks. And there is the effect of transmission of risks. Currently, the long-term national bond yield is around 2.1%. The national bond yield is the result of the market. PBOC fully respects the role of the market, and without any doubt, for the application of a proactive financial policy, this rate has prepared a very good environment. But in the meantime, we also have to see that interest rate risk is a very important part of our regulation work. How the U.S. Silicon Valley Bank fell down, I believe that you are all very familiar with this case. From that incident, we have to draw the lesson that the PBOC has to prudently analyze the risk of the market and also take prompt measures to fight against the accumulation of risks is also one of the major duties of PBOC. Currently, for the curve of the national bond yield, it's a very important reference. PBOC has made risk announcement about the national bond yield in order to fight against unilateral falling down of the interest rate, in order to guarantee a good order of the market. We noticed that recently there are some illegal actions of the borrowing of the transaction accounts, and we will punish all the criminals, and we will also declare the cases to the public. Recently, we have already published some of them. For the others, they are still in the process of investigation. Once completed, the results would be delivered to the public. In recent years, with the rapid development of the financial markets, the bond market has also been expanded. With the secondary markets, the PBOC has all the conditions prepared for the purchase of the bonds. On the 19th of June, during the Lujiazui Forum, I have already shared with the public our plan for the future work. Currently, the purchasing of the state bond has become one of the tools in our toolkit. It's pure, transparent operation. You could check out our website. We are also working with the Ministry of Finance to see how we can better the structure of the issuance of the state bond. The PBOC has put the government bond into our toolkit and starts the transactions in the secondary market. This will take some time. And next question, please. I'm with Phoenix Media. We've noticed that this year, 9 new rules at national level have been published. What is the next step for the CSRC? The listed companies, they are the foundations of the market. They are creating values and they are bringing profits to the investors. It's in that way that our capital markets can have prosperity. CSRC fully supports the listed companies to improve their performance and strengthen profitability. And National Capital Regulatory Administration is also doing the work. Listed companies should make their information disclosure more transparent. They have to standardize the management and also make more frequent communication with the investors. And they also have to give more profits back to the investors. More than 95% of the listed companies have organized the press conference to share their progress with the audience. And all these listed companies have shared more than 57 billion RMB as bonuses to their investors, to the shareholders. In order to increase their own value in the markets, these listed companies should be responsible for their own behaviors. And we are elaborating currently a guideline. Very soon they will meet the public. We urge the listed companies to have better management. First of all, the Board of Administration should pay more attention to the profits for the shareholders. The company should strengthen their capacity and also competitiveness. Second, listed companies should fully use the M&A and the other rules of market value. Third, listed companies should also create mechanisms for long-term repurchasing. Qualified companies should prepare in advance the management of capital. Number 4, listed companies should elaborate their plan for competition, and they have also to make regular disclosure of information. Number 5, listed companies should have a management system for the market value, and they have to make disclosure of their share value. When we say that we have to strengthen the management of market value, in the meantime, listed companies should also follow the rules of the market. They should not try to manipulate the operation of the market. Recently, for this guidelines that we are elaborating, we're about to hear the opinions of different parties, and together with different government agencies, we will create a stimulating mechanism for the repurchasing so that the higher ranked officials can also be invited to repurchase the shares to increase the market value of the company. With the Fengmian news, insurance companies are very important investors in the capital market. Recently, the State Council has published several opinions on a healthy development of the capital market, saying that we have to bring into full play the roles played by the insurance companies. So for the pilot reforms, what is your recommendation? Thank you very much for this question. The State Council has recently published the 10 national rules about insurance sector. This is the work arrangement in details for the insurance sector. Currently in our country, there's a historic opportunity in front of the insurance sector. And we can predict that in the future, insurance market will continue to enlarge in the future. It will grow in density, and this is a sector with long period of capital. Insurance companies would continue to support the healthy development of the capital market as a long-term investor. They have very important role to play for the market, and CSRC has been long following the development of banking system, insurance companies to safeguard the stability of the capital market. With the approval of the State Council, we have collaborated with the insurance of Xinhua and China Insurance Company to create the PE fund and collect the fund to invest in the capital market. This fund has 50 billion RMB as a starting amount of investment. Moving forward, we will continue to support a healthy and long-term development of the capital market. First of all, insurance should continue to invest in the pilot sites. We encourage the qualified insurers to create a PE fund, and we will continue to invest in the capital market. Second, we urge and guide insurers to optimize the evaluation and assessment system, and we encourage the insurance capital to invest in the long term for benefits. And number 3, for trust companies of the trust products to publish the long-term financial products and to actively join in the operation of the capital market. We will also cultivate the capital of patience. Thank you. With Economic Daily. There's a company that has been holding a big amount of ETF. What's your comment on that? Actually, you have to give the question to the company Wu Qing. So from our view of CSRC, I will share with you some comments. Because this is a highly transparent company. And recently, the company of Wu Qing has increased their holding of the ETF. This means that today we have high recognition of the A-share market. It will help to stabilize the market and boost the confidence of investors. We've also noticed that at home and abroad, many research institutes and investing companies think that the value is evaluated at a low level, and in the future there will be very big room for the rising of the shares. For different types of medium and long-term investors, including the Wu Qing company, we will give them more support so that they could have an access to the market We will facilitate their entrance into the market so that they can continue to invest in long term. We will also cultivate more backup forces and assist the long-term healthy development of the market. Due to the time limit, last question for today. Thank you. With the Financial Times, the creation of the facility swap, what's your consideration and what are the details of the operations? Thank you very much for your question. In order to stabilize the capital market and boost the confidence of investors, we have borrowed experience of foreign countries, and also based on our past practices, PBOC has worked with CSRC to create 2 policy tools to support the capital market's healthy development. For the first time, PBOC has made an innovative tool to support the capital markets. The first tool, Securities Fund Insurers Swap Facility. This tool allows qualified securities insurers and funds So when I say qualified, it's the CSRC and the other regulators that can decide. They will use the ETF and the Shanghai Shenzhen 300 as a mortgage in exchange of the PBOC bills and government bonds, which have higher level of fluidity, because their own shares cannot compare with all those government bills, government bonds in terms of fluidity. These companies thus can have more cash flow. For example, these companies currently they may be holding a certain amount of equity or assets, but we could facilitate the swap of the equity so that these companies now can have higher level of fluidity in their capital. For the first phase of the project, this swap facility can reach 500 billion RMB. In the future, if necessary, we can continue to enlarge the scope. I've also talked with Mr. Wu Qing. If it's doing well, then we can add up another 500 billion or even the third round of 500 billion RMB. With this tool, the capital gains can only be used for investment in the stock market. This is the first tool. The second tool, the share repurchasing and reloans. We encourage the commercial banks to offer the loans for the repurchasing of the shares. So the shareholders, they can increase their possession of the shares. It's a very frequent actions in the international market. For PBOC, we will give the reloans to the commercial banks. the proportion of capital support is 100%. The interest rate of real loans is 1.75. Commercial banks, when they issue the loans to the clients, the interest rate would be around 2.25. So we allow them to add up 0.05 percentage points. And you know that current level 2.25 is not very high. For the first phase of project, the total volume would be 300 billion RMB. Also, I've talked with Mr. Wu. If it's delivering good results, we can add the second round or even the third round of 300 billion RMB. But of course, we have to analyze the market reaction. With this tool, it's applicable in state-owned enterprises, private enterprises, and companies with mixed capital. So all types of enterprises could have the opportunity to enjoy this tool. We will work closely with CSRC and also the other agencies of market regulation. Thank you very much for all the speakers and all the friends of media. That's all for today. Thank you.